I'm going to show you a series of really short and simple ways which you can edit your photographs to make them look more professional and just look like they are better put together and more pleasing to the eye. So let's start with this one. This is a photo off the Great Wall of China. On its own, it's not a terrible photo, but it really could do with being brought alive a little bit more. So let's start with this, which is cropping. The first thing you must do, because there's no point spending time and worrying about details which you're going to remove anyway. It's better to remove them from the start and they're gone. So this image has someone's arm stuck in it there, which really is not attractive, and also the horizon is a bit low. It's about half the screen, so it's not really what I want for this photo, not giving me the right feel. So we go to the left hand side, choose the crop tool, and drop down and choose yourself a grid. Let's start with the golden ratio, and then just take the sides, we can move them around. So this grid that you see popping up here, that gives us which is the golden ratio. There are other ones such as golden spiral or triangle. These are just ways to compose items which look very pleasing to the eye. There's no hard and fast rule of which one you should be using, which one you shouldn't be using, but you kind of go, if this fits, keep it. So we can take this and go, well, could we actually play around with this so we can get the arc? There's a bit of a natural triangle appearing in the middle, so that actually can kind of work. It's not really what I'm looking for at the moment, but we could happily go with that. With architecture, this one in particularly works well, but I'm going to go actually for my favourite, the golden ratio. You don't have to worry too much about the theory behind what this is, but if we just try and keep as much of the image as possible, I can bring the horizon right down to about there, so that I'm getting a good third of the screen being sky, a good third being solid wall at the bottom, the middle section being a mixture of trees, mountain and wall. So actually this composition is about perfect for me. Now remember, there's no hard and fast rules, I don't have to line things up absolutely exactly, but I'm really happy with how this is, so I'm going to go ahead and click done. So now our photo is looking a little bit better. The second rule is looking at dust on the sensors. Now, if you have an SLR camera, you can get dust on the sensor and you get blotches on the screen. So I don't actually have any blotches on this one, but I know for a fact if I zoom in around here, I've got 3 little dots put in. Now I put these here myself, but hey, this could be dust. And simple tool for this, just go to the healing brush on the side. So hold down there and go for healing brush tool. And this lets you basically copy and paste bits of the drawing onto each other. So right now it's quite a large brush, so I'm going to zoom right in. As you can see, the size of the brush to the dots is far too big, so I'm going to take this right down to be size, let's say 4 pixels. That's about right. So before we do anything, I hold down Alt and I target where I want the colour to come from. So you want to be right next to the spot. So click there, cover over, and there we are. Do it again, 1, 2, and do it again, 1, 2. So you can see it's really mixing it in. If I now zoom out, you can't tell they're there, which is really, really good. So I've now removed the spots. The next thing to think about are the levels on the image. So what do I mean by that? Image adjustment levels. So looking at the amount of contrast. So if I take my right marker there, if I move this down, the whole thing becomes much brighter, like a nuclear bomb's going off. And if I move my darkness all the way there, it's getting dark and fall into night. So I don't want to be too extreme, but I want to just make the contrast a little bit higher to really bring the image out. So just bring the dark shadows a little bit up and bring the darkness a little bit there. Now the key for this one is less is more. You really don't want to be doing too much, but it just makes the contrast pop out by brightening the highlights and darkening the shadows. So let's just take a little bit more there, a little bit more there. So before and after, subtle, but just makes the image just pop out a little bit more. So after that, our next one is the saturation. So we want, again, to make the image pop a little bit more, we might really brighten the colours, bring the saturation out higher. So again, back to image adjustments, hue, saturation. So we can chuck on some presets and do things like strong saturation or sepia color. That's kind of cool, but I'm just going to default these, so let's bring these back to 0. So I'm just going to undo that. So image, adjustment, hue, saturation, and you can just play with saturation on its own. So bring it right up, looks like you're taking lots of acid, bring it right down, you're in a zombie apocalypse. So you can just take that and just add a few points. So we went going from about there originally, just bring about there. Maybe that's a little bit too much, maybe 10 points. So you see that without and with slight improvement. We're not, so there we are, that's with and that's without. We're trying to make it just a little bit more alive, make it a little bit better than standard, but we don't want to be looking too over the top. So I think we're about right as we are there. So sparingly is the key. Now, you might want a photo that's in black and white. Now, that could be more atmospheric and more moody. So what I'm going to do is show you a way of doing that. There's more than one way, but this is one nice way. So image, adjustments, black and white is one way, but we're going to go for channel mixer. So if you tap on the monochrome button, then the item just gone monochrome, and we can just play with some presets. Now, we can just grab the sliders and play with them, but if we go, say, infrared, or blue filter, or green filter, orange filter, red filter, or yellow filter, it plays with the levels of the red, green and blue channels. So I quite liked that for very dramatic. Let's go through again, choose a nice good one. The blue filter really doesn't work at all. Infrared's kind of interesting, but too harsh. So I'm going to go for the red filter. And you can see that's without and then with. So that's quite a striking photo. So I'm going to click OK. Of course, you might not want to do that. You might want to keep with color. It's your choice. But that's a good way to bring the image into an interesting area. Now, this was taken with an iPhone, so it's relatively good, but you might want to sharpen the image up to really bring it to life. So, once again, filter, sharpen, sharpen more. It's a very simple way, and you can see it's just come alive, it's just instantly come into focus. So, without, and I'll do it again, sharpen, sharpen more, and the details come right up. So this has become a lot more dynamic and does help the detail of the picture come out. However, it can look a bit hard, so you might not want that. And the last one to look at, and this is one of the most important ones, is the actual size of the image itself. So we've already cut down, we've cropped it. Is it going to be big enough for our needs? So image size. And this gives you the pixels and the resolution. So if we look at it in centimeters, this is looking about 1 meter by 70. Now, also gives us opportunity, we can really come and see the sharpness. Now obviously with sharpness you're pretty much doing a black border around objects to make them stand out, which I think is okay for what we're doing here. Now we're going to say, this size is good, but I want to increase the resolution. So let's go back to our guy, which we saw there. So there's different ways we can do enlargement. So I can preserve the detail, and there's a chance to reduce noise. You can see a bit of stuff there, or having it smoother. Now I'm personally a bit more in favour of the smooth approach because I think it feels a bit more natural, but it depends what you're doing. So let's kick this up to 300 dpi. So with smoothness, it goes like that, and preserving detail as so. Now you can see that reduction in noise, we have a bit of speckle, goes down to having no speckle, and the smoother just goes like that. I personally prefer the smoother, so click OK. And what this is doing is it's inferring where the pixels should be and upscaling the image so it looks best in high resolution. So that is our image. We have cropped it, we've played with the levels, did the saturation, adjusted it, and really brought it out so that it is the best it can be. So these are some very simple techniques that you can use on your photos to really make them come alive.